just to remind you guys, the beautiful thing about it is, let's just say this shoulder comes down and it ends up going below this low right here. Well, then it fails and it's off the table. And then you say, okay, well, it's done. There's no more worries. You don't even consider it an inverse head and shoulder anymore. That we absolutely have some intriguing action here. And again, I just want to be clear. We have to see if this shoulder forms here. We want to see consolidation, sideways, slightly lower chop. And then we want to see a breakout of this trend line, game on for an upside target to about, 71 to 72,000 on Bitcoin. Very, very cool.
Imagine knowing exactly where Bitcoin turns before it happens. That's what one veteran trader claims he's seeing right now. Let's break down where Bitcoin stands today. The price is set at $64,016.17 per BTC, with a market cap of $1.3 trillion. In just the last 24 hours, $28.3 billion worth of Bitcoin has traded hands. Price is up 2.35% in that same period, and there is 20.1 million BTC currently in circulation. Now here's what's catching traders' attention. Gareth Soloway, a veteran trader with a deep focus on technical analysis, is tracking a pattern that could shape Bitcoin's next big move. He says it's not fully formed yet, but Bitcoin appears to be building what's called a right shoulder. The key thing to watching this pullback can continue if that right shoulder doesn't dip below the head. Soloway flags $57,700 as the make-or-break level. Above that, the bullish pattern stays intact. And if Bitcoin breaks out from here, Soloway's target is around $71,700. That number isn't random either. It lines up with old resistance levels and a descending trend line, which makes this zone technically important. But here's the bigger picture. Soloway reminds us Bitcoin is still trading inside a much larger wedge, and that wedge could break either up or down. So, the real question is, which direction wins first? Before you dive in, smash that subscribe button. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you is helping us get there. So if you're new here, welcome to the family.
Taking a look at Bitcoin, this is what Bitcoin looks like. Now, to a lot of people, this would look kind of not so great. And listen, it's not to say there's no risk here, right? We know that ultimately there is a very definitive trend line that we're watching. And if this trend line were to break, then you just stop out of all the positions, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? And basically what we're looking at is this trend line down here. You take this low pivot to this low pivot, and look, price tried to break below on Bitcoin and it was not able to, and price ended up rallying up, now pulling back. Now, a lot of people, again, would look at this and say, it's not the greatest, it's just, kind of chopping sideways. It even could be forming a bearish consolidation pattern. But what I'm seeing is a little bit more nuanced here, and this is where the trained eye can start to spot things. And listen, this isn't formed yet, fully formed, I should say, but what do we have here? Do we have the potential of an inverse head and shoulder pattern, right? So again, we look at this, and if we were to go up like that, we could be looking at a breakout to the upside. And I can use my trend tool here to kind of denote this in a little bit more clean space. But essentially what we're looking at here is, again, a potential inverse head and shoulder pattern, right? There, it's starting to form. And so we're getting the pullback for the right shoulder. We then want to see it curl up like this, right? So it could come back a little bit lower, right? I mean, there's nothing, basically, for it to be valid, you just can't have the right shoulder below the head. So as long as the low here, which is around 57,700, doesn't get violated, we could pull all the way back here. Now, I don't think it will. It looks to me like it's making more of a bullish, shallow consolidation shoulder. But this pattern, folks, this is really what we're looking at here, if it can form. Because the nice thing about this is that it gives us the ability to calculate a target. So what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, to calculate the target, what you do is you put the neckline in. So the neckline is the connector from the shoulder to the shoulder, right? Right there. That's your connect. And if you break above it, from wherever you break above it, that's your measured move. And you get the measured move from taking the low of the head with a straight line up to the neckline, right? So again, I'm teaching you guys some of the amazing techniques here. So if we do that and we take this up, we go right to that line right there, right? And essentially we take that distance, and let's just say it breaks out over here. So, if we just game this out a little bit, we look at a move down here, and then let's say it comes out and breaks right there. We get our target. Where's our target here? Just about 70, basically 71,700. That would be your upside target. Now, what's interesting about that is that starts to bring us back into this zone right over here, right? Where we kind of had these pivot highs over here and we tried to break up, and eventually we did. But also look at this. And this is where the charts, I mean, little guys, I'm like a kid in the candy store, right? Where you start to find this stuff and you're like, holy cow, that's amazing how it all starts to coordinate. And the more it coordinates, the more likely, in my humble opinion, it actually is going to work out. But take a trend line here. Look, we'd be coming right up into that resistance zone. And so that really makes sense, right? If you think about it, then this is a bigger wedge pattern, which actually, again, could break out or it could break down. I'm still partial to eventually a breakdown, but this is where the best part of swing trading comes into play, is that ultimately, as a swing trader, you can go long and short. Like, the bigger trend could still be down, and it doesn't preclude me from going long on a trade on Bitcoin or ETH or any of these others.
Bitcoin isn't the only coin flashing signals right now. Ethereum and Solana are quietly setting up moves that could catch a lot of people off guard. Let's start with Ethereum. Gareth Soloway says ETH is showing a setup that looks a lot like Bitcoin's. He'd be buying again if Ethereum dips into the $1,650 to $1,675 range, since the chart still hints at a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern. Using a standard measured move technique, he's eyeing an upside target between $2,000 and $2,100 after a confirmed breakout. Suttmeyer adds that Ethereum needs to hold above $1,693 to $1,708 to keep its rebound alive. Breaking above that could open the path toward $1,987, then $2,100, with next major resistance between $2,225 and $2,239. Now, Solana. Soloway calls it one of the strongest performers lately, targeting around $100 if this pullback holds and buyers return. He sees the dip as normal, expecting support before another leg higher. The numbers agree. SOL is up 27%, the top altcoin performer this month. It bounced off $60, consolidated near $80, and could climb to $96 on a 200-day moving average retest. Let's get back to the video.
ETH is intriguing as well. You can see the same general pattern is forming on ETH. Number one, if we look at this, right, we have this longer-term trend line. What's amazing about this trend line, too, is that it's not like a short-term trend line, right? It's not like it just goes back to, earlier this year. This goes back to 2022. And essentially what we have here is you have this trend line right there. You kind of kiss it right here in 2025, and then you pierce it again. That's a very solid trend line. Now, listen, eventually, do I think this could break down? Yeah, eventually, but shorter term. So remember, there's essentially three periods. There's short term, which is over the next couple weeks, let's say. Midterm, which to me would be the next 3 to 6 months, and long term, which is 6+ months out. And so while I do think this trend line on ETH could eventually break lower, just like I think Bitcoin's going lower over the mid to long term. So, over the next 3 to 6+ months, I think, yes, eventually we will break down, but that doesn't mean I can't make money to the upside on this on a short-term pattern, right? There's great money to be made. In fact, I went long on ETH right down here with members of Smart Money Stocks and Smart Money Crypto, and we made 10% on the bounce. It was great. It was a great bounce on 10% done. Now, if this pulls back a little bit more, let's say 1650, 1675, I'm going to buy it again because you know what? We got the same sort of pattern formation here, right? Generally, we have this general formation, inverse head and shoulders forming here. Assuming it continues to form, you get your bullish setup to get ready to rock and roll, and that's what you got right there. So very, very interesting potential there. What would our upside target be? Our upside target, again, you just take the low here to the neckline, and essentially that would be mapped out. It would probably give us an approximate target of around 2,000 to 2,100 as an upside target range. Now, looking at Solana's been one of the stronger cryptos of late. Notice how it doesn't have an inverse head and shoulders because it's been so strong that it hasn't had to form, right? When we dipped here, where most cryptos were going lower, making a lower low here, and that created the head of the shoulder, head, shoulder, Solana never did, which actually shows relative strength. And then it broke out here. Look at the breakout. Now, what it's doing is doing a classic retrace to the scene of the crime right here. And that, if we get there, that's your buy level right there. Classic retrace right here. And then it should go and go even higher. And I have an upside target on this of about $100 right up in that range. All right. So again, very cool chart on Solana here. It is retracing, which is normal, right? And again, you'll come into some support right here, and then this trend line, then look for it. It may not even touch this line. We'll have to see, but look for it to start to curl up.
Bitcoin is approaching an important moment, and the next few weeks could shape its next major move. While short-term price swings are expected, the bigger picture shows that key support and resistance levels deserve close attention. For investors, staying patient and following the chart instead of emotions may be the smartest approach. If Bitcoin confirms a bullish breakout, it could create new opportunities, but if support fails, managing risk will be just as important. As always, the market rewards preparation more than prediction. So keep watching Bitcoin closely and be ready to adapt as new signals appear. Do you think Bitcoin is getting ready for its next big breakout? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this Bitcoin analysis, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest Bitcoin and crypto updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.